the chapter 1 from Canto 4 part 1. This is a genealogical table of Manu's daughters. Okay. So we are studying the genealogy of Manu and his generations ahead of him. So till yesterday we had done about Atri Muni and his three sons. That is Chandra, Dattatreya and Durvasa. We learnt his story. We came to an understanding how Dattatreya came into the picture and why did he come. It is because of Atri Muni's regards and demands for the Lord to be born to him. And he was able to achieve that objective. So today we are going to understand further ahead how the different Rishi Muni and the human being on one side called Manu with his daughters and sons. He had three daughters if you remember. Devahuti, Akuti and Prasuti. We had three daughters, two sons, Sottanpada and all. So how they carried on the generations ahead of them. How the genealogical tree started taking shape. So we are going to learn about that today. So if you remember, the last line we said, now you may hear from me many sons of Angira. So Angira Muni and his progeny ahead of the game. Now, let us start from the new verse. So we are doing Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Part 1, Chapter 1, Verse 34. Angira's wife, Shraddha, gave birth to 4 daughters, namely Srinavali, Kuhu, Raka, and Anumati. See, we have to understand that here is a sage, and the sage is marrying a human being. Remember, sages are Rishi Munis, they are knowledge based. The marriage of knowledge and humans happens. And when that knowledge is transmitted to human beings, the future is very beautiful. Which means we can use the knowledge for certain purposes. So if I have to go to a college where I am going to learn civil engineering, when I come out of the college of civil engineering, I can be a builder. I can build houses. I can build dams. I can build roads. So many things, isn't it? So in a similar fashion, the sage is the knowledge base and he gets married to all these young women. So here is Shraddha and she has got 4 children. Besides these 4 daughters, she also had 2 sons. One of them was Uthatya and the other one was the scholar Brahaspati. So Brahaspati, as you know, he becomes the guru later on. So he is born of Angira and Shraddha. So these are the 2, father and mother, and their son is called Brahaspati. So these are total 4 plus 2, 6 children born. Now each of these children are going to take the genealogical tree and go ahead. It is like a mango tree. So on the mango tree there are lots of mangoes. The mangoes are ripened and then they are distributed all over the world. Some of the mangoes are planted back inside. That means the seed is planted and the tree grows over there as well. So it creates a future generation. So basically this is what it means. How did these tribes come about in the world? See, even in other scriptures of other religions also, this is the same story that is mentioned. The tribes came about this way. So now let us go to the next verse where he says, Pulatsya begot in his wife Havirbhu, one son, the name Agatsya Muni, who is the next birth became Dharagni. Besides him, Pulatsya begot another great and saintly son whose name was Vishrava. So here is an introduction of another great sage called Agatsya Muni. Agatsya Muni was a Rajguru. He basically taught, how to rule a kingdom, how to have warfare and those kind of things. If you recollect, you will find that Jamdangini also trained under him, and even Vishwaratha, as we know as Vishwamitra, he also trained under him. Now, these are basically the lineages, all right? So, Vishrava had two wives. The first wife was Idvida, from whom Kuber, the master of all Yakshas, was born. And the next wife was Kesini, from whom three sons were born, Ravana, Kumbhakarna and Vibhishana. Now many of you may not know that Lanka, the kingdom of Lanka, which was known as the golden place, Sone ki Lanka. Now this Sone ki Lanka was created by the eldest son. Now this was somebody whom you know as Kuber. So Kuber was a brother, you can say half brother, because he was born from the first wife. And the second wife had three children, which is Ravana was the elder one, Kumbhakarna and Vibhishana. So these are three children from the second wife, one from the first wife. So Kuber is the one who created Lanka. It is Ravana who came and he shooed Kuber away from there. So Kuber had to go to the base of the mountains of, you will find the Himalayas. And that is where he tried to shake even Shivji. So Shivji's story is there in the next chapter. We will learn about that. So you have understood this much so far? Now we go ahead. Gati, the wife of sage Pulaha, gave birth to three sons. The three sons were Karmashreshta, Variyaha, Sahishnu, and all of them were great sages. So there were three children born by Gati and Pulaha. So Pulaha, as you know, is one of the sages. So he had three children who also became sages in their own way. So Karmashreshta was one of them, like that. There are three of them. Kratu's wife Kriya gave birth to 60,000 great sages named Valkhilyas. These sages are greatly advanced in spiritual knowledge and their bodies are illuminated by such knowledge. So there is another sage called Kratu. His wife is Kriya. Now Kriya gave birth to many children, that is named 60,000. Now you may wonder what is this 60,000 and so many children being born. Please understand one thing, 60,000 children means the lifetime of that person is not a few years. See, you can live for maximum 100 years on earth. But these great sages from the past could live for 50,000 years also. You will find that even Adam and Eve, they also lived for 50,000 years. It is mentioned in their scripture. In our scripture also you will find that these knowledge, these great Rishi Munis, they could live for thousands of years. Now so many yugas have gone. My Gurudev is still alive. He is roaming all over India, as you know. Dattatreya is eternal soul. Like that you will find there are many such souls. Like you will find that Hanumanji. Many people have said that they were able to meet Hanumanji. In many of these past century, you will find there are lots of books written where the person, the spiritual person, whoever he is, has said, I met Hanumanji on the way. It's possible. Like that there is Parshuram. So there are many of these type and they are also alive today. So it is not a problem that they could live for 50,000 years in the past. So these great sages were born from Kratu and Kriya. The great sage Vasishta begot in his wife Urja, sometimes called Arundhati, 7 spotless great sages headed by the sage named Chitraketu. So now we come to the great sage called Vasishta Muni. You know Vasishta Muni very well because he is very much in Ramayana and all. So Vasishta Muni. Now from him, with his wife, she is called Arundhati. Sometimes her name is Urja. Now he was a great sage. He is the one who taught many such things about warfare and so on. Okay. He is also somebody whom the kings, they always send their children to him. So they got many children, 7 sages, and one of them was called Chitraketu. The name of these 7 sages are Chitraketu, Surochi, Viraja, Mitra, Ulbana, Vasubhradnya, and Dyuman. Some others were competent sons were born from Vashishta's other wives. Chitti, the wife of sage Atharva, gave birth to a son named Aswasira by accepting a great vow called Dadhanyaj. Now you may hear from me about the descendants of the sage Bhrigu. So this is actually going on. So many of them are there and everybody has got their own children. The sage Bhrigu was highly fortunate. In his wife known as Khyati, he begot 2 sons named Dhata and Vidhata, and one daughter named Shri, who was very much devoted to the Supreme Personality, Sri Krishna. So that is Lakshmi ji was also Bhrigu's daughter in one of the lineages. Okay. So his wife's name was Khyati. So Bhrigu's wife was Khyati and their 2 sons were called Dhata and Vidhata. Okay. And from the other wife called Shri, from the other wife they got a daughter called Shri. So the great sage Meru had 2 daughters named Ayati and Niyati, whom he gave in charity to Dhata and Vidhata. Ayati and Niyati gave birth to 2 sons, Mrikanda and Prana. So there are 2 more sages being introduced over here. So it so happens that Dhata and Vidhata got married to Meru's children, that is Ayati and Niyati, and from them 2 sons were born, that is Mrikanda and Prana. From Markanda, Markandeya Muni was born, and from Prana the sage Vedashira, whose son was Usana, that is Shukracharya, also known as Kavi. Thus Kavi also belonged to the descendants of the Bhrigu dynasty. Now here you will be surprised to know that all these great sages from the heaven are taking birth over here on the earth. Whenever there is the creation happening, the sages have to bring in the knowledge. So they are reborn again in the next 4-year cycle, that 4 yuga cycle, they are going to be born again and again and again. So as many cycles come into the picture, they are born again. So here you will find that Brahaspati was already born, if you remember in the previous verse. And now you will find that the one who is going to train the demons in the art of war and various other things, he becomes their guru. So Shukracharya is also born over here. My dear Vidura, the population of the universe was thus increased by the descendants of these sages and the daughters of Kardama Muni. Anyone who hears the description of their dynasty with faith will be relieved from all sinful reactions. Another of Manu's daughter, known as Prasuti, married the son of Brahma named Daksha. So now the introduction of a very, very important character comes into the picture. Now when I say important character, because you will find that Daksha Prajapati, he was the ruler of the entire world. Daksha Prajapati. Prajapati. Now, if you recollect, the third daughter was there called Prasuti. You know, remember Devahuti, Akuti and Prasuti. Now, Prasuti married the son of Brahmaji. His name was Daksha. He is going to be responsible for the destruction of his own daughter. So we will see this in the next chapter. Daksha begot 16 very beautiful daughters with lotus-like eyes from his wife Prasuti. Of the 16 daughters, 13 were given in marriage to Dharma and one daughter was given to Agni. So, Daksha Prajapati and the daughter of Manu, that is called Prasuti, they were married and from them 16 daughters were born. Out of these 16 daughters, 13 were given in marriage to Dharma. Dharma, as we know, is someone who is going to handle, at the end of the time, somebody has to take charge of the sins. So he is the one who keeps tracks of all the sins that are there. In another form, he comes as Yamadev. And if you see, even in the Mahabharata, he enters as another character. So Yudhishthir, sorry. So you will find that he is born over here, and in this he is to marry 13 daughters of Daksha. One daughter is given to Agni. Now let us see what happens to the next. One of the remaining 2 daughters was given in charity to Pitraloka, where she resides amicably, and the other one was given to Lord Shiva, who is the deliverer of sinful persons from material entanglement. The name of the 13 daughters of Daksha who were given to Dharma are called Shraddha, Maitri, Daya, Shanti, Tusti, Pusti, Kriya, Unnati, Buddhi, Medha, Titiksha, Hri and Murti. So these are the various daughters, that are the 13 daughters, if you remember, who were given to Dharma. Alright, the 13 daughters produced the following sons. So the 13 daughters, they gave birth to sons. Shraddha gave birth to Shubha. Maitri produced Prasad. Daya gave birth to Abhaya. Shanti gave birth to Sukha. Tusti gave birth to Muda. Pusti gave birth to Smaya. Kriya gave birth to Yoga. Unnati gave birth to Darpa. Buddhi gave birth to Artha. Medha gave birth to Smriti. Titiksha gave birth to Kshama. And Hri gave birth to Prasraya, Murti. A reservoir of all respectable qualities gave birth to Sri Nar Narayana, the Supreme Lord Himself. So these are 13 daughters, and each of them has given birth to one child. If you actually look at how this is moving, you can understand what gives birth to what. Are you understanding? Let us say Buddhi gave birth to Artha. Buddhi means intelligence or intellect. So when you have intellect, you can make money, Artha. You can become wealthy and rich. So if you use your brains properly, intellect properly, this intellect will lead you to richness, or you can have enough wealth. So you can actually see how this works. Shanti gave birth to Sukha. Shanti means peace. Sukha means happiness. So peace can give you happiness. So if you actually look at all the words over here, they have a tremendous meaning. So in the material world, when you have to attain something, you have to take recourse to these characteristics. So now we go to Murti, a reservoir of all respectable qualities. Murti means a statue. We create a statue. So the statue means it's a God's representation. So Murti is a God's representation. She gave birth to Narayan. This is a representation of God and human being, both together. Narayan. So they become Rishi Munis. So we will understand that in the future. On the occasion of the appearance of Narayan, the entire world was full of joy. Everyone's mind became tranquil, and thus in all directions the air, the river and the mountains became pleasant. In the heavenly planet, bands began to play and they showered flowers from the sky. The pacified sages chanted Vedic prayers. The denizens of heaven known as Gandharvas and Kinnaras sang. The beautiful damsels of the heavenly planets danced. And in this way, at the time of the appearance of the Narayana, all signs of great fortune were visible. At that time, great demigods like Brahma also offered their respectful prayers. So, when the 13th daughter, she gave birth to the entity called Narayan, who is the Lord himself. When he takes birth, the denizens of the heaven, they are very mighty pleased because now something really good is going to happen in this world. So they played the music, there was dances and various other things happening. So when someone great takes birth, you know what happens. The king has got a son. So naturally the whole world is treated in a different way. So when the Narayan takes birth, all this is happening. So the parents are extremely pleased. The heavens are pouring with joy. The flowers are falling everywhere. Everybody is full of, happiness everywhere around. They're dancing, they're singing. It's an occasion. And in that occasion, everybody seems to enjoy. I can tell you about how my birth happened. When my birth was happening, many years ago, it was a joyous occasion for people around me. That particular day, the next day rather, everybody was given a holiday. There were lots of mines which were owned by them. Coal and manganese mines. Everybody was given a holiday and every man got a pair of clothes and every woman was given saris. So at that time they distributed more than 3,000 of these garments, if I know correctly. So they were distributed to everyone. There was a lot of joy. There was a lot of, sweets were made and distributed to everybody. And that's a past history. So Narayan came about and the heavens opened up. The demigods say, let us offer a respectful obeisance unto the transcendental God Sri Krishna, who created his external energy, the cosmic manifestation which is situated in him as the air and clouds are situated in space. and who has now appeared in the form of Nar Narayan in the house of Dharma. Now if you remember, Dharma and its children, they have this son born, Nar Narayan, and literally the whole world was full of joy. The air was, moving around, clouds were there in the sky, and literally everything was full of energy. It caused cosmic manifestation. It is nothing but a joyful occasion. Let the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, who is understood and truly authored Vedic literature, who has created peace and prosperity to destroy all calamities of the created world, be kind enough to bestow his glance upon the demigods. His merciful glance can supersede the beauty of the spotless lotus flower, which is the home of the goddess of fortune. Maitreya said, O Vidura, thus the demigods worship with prayers the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna appearing as the sage Narayana. The Lord glanced upon them with mercy and then departed to the Gandhamadana hills. So here the birth of Narayan is happening. Everybody is happy. The gods have come down. The earth is full of joy and so on and so forth. And after all this occasion comes about, that means the celebration happens, the Lord, who has also come to witness this ceremony, the birth and then the naming of Narayan, goes back to his place called Gandhamadana mountains. That Narayan Rishi, who is partial expansion of Krishna, has now appeared in the dynasty of Yadu and Kuru in the form of Krishna and Arjuna respectively, to mitigate the burden of the world. How these stories are linked, you can see. Narayan is the name of this Rishi Muni, who is none other than Krishna and his form. So he is a Rishi Muni who has come about. He is the precursor of the Yadu dynasty, the dynasty which is going to come about. That is Kuru and Yadu dynasty is going to come about. If you remember, Kuru dynasty is where Arjuna and everybody else is. The Pandavas and Kauravas are there in that dynasty. And the Yadu dynasty is the one where Sri Krishna and his people are going to be there. So Narayan is the progenitor of both these races. Got it? So they are now going to appear as two separate souls. One is Sri Krishna, who is the Lord himself, and the second one is called Arjuna. So in the next generation, they are going to appear as these two. The predominating deity of the fire begot in his wife Swaha 3 children named Pavaka, Pavamana and Suchi, who exist by eating the oblations offered to the fire of sacrifice. So whenever we are performing any sacrifice of any kind, it could be in any place, like even your mouth, or for that matter any work that you do, eating, drinking, sleeping, every activity that you do, or you go to a temple, give some offering, or you perform a havana, and in the havana you are putting some offering. So all this is being consumed by the 3 children of these 2 great people, that is the predominating deity of fire. So Agni and his wife Swaha. Swaha means I offer it, I put it as an oblation. So when I am putting an Agni and I am putting Swaha, some objects in it, they are consumed by Pavaka, Pavamana and Suchi. Okay, they are done in a certain manner. Now you may wonder what I am talking about. So let me give you an understanding. There is a certain methodology when some actions have to be done. Now in these actions, they have to be done in a systematic manner. How many of you know that if we have to create an object, we require certain quantity of certain things. So if I am making a sweet, pongal or a god shira or something like that, there is a quantity that is required to be put. So if I have to take semolina, I have to take sugar, I have to take some other ingredients, they should be in a specific quantity because they are consumed by that particular divinity in that fashion. Are you getting it? So don't try to shortchange when you are doing some puja or pratishta. Whatever that you are doing, please do it correctly. You know, people have this habit that why should we give so many grains to this person? Okay, if that person says, give me 1.25 kilo of rice. Okay, it has to be put in this puja. Now, what does a human being do? He goes and buys the cheapest rice from outside, and then instead of giving him 1.25 kilo, he gives him only 1 kilo. When you do this kind of a short changing in your life, these three who are there, they are dissatisfied with your offerings. Pavaka, Pavamana and Suchi, these are the ones who are consuming your sacrifice. If you do not eat properly, lots of people, they don't want to eat things. So that is also a sacrifice happening. So please eat properly. Drink properly. Don't try to say, oh, I am trying to reduce my weight. Human beings have this dirty habit of saying, oh, I will not eat sugar, I will not eat this, I will not eat that. If there is a quantity mentioned, measure it and put it exactly the way. If you come to our ashram anytime, you will find that everything is put in the proper quantity. If I have to use 2 cups of ghee also, I will use 2 cups of ghee. We should not shortchange it and say, oh, no, everybody wants to become thin, so I will put 1 cup of ghee or a quarter. No, that is not correct. So please don't try to do this. Okay. From those 3 sons, another 45 descendants were generated who are also fire gods. The total number of fire gods, therefore 49, include the father and the grandfather. These 49 fire gods are the beneficiaries of the oblations offered in the Vedic sacrificial fire by impersonalist Brahmanas. The Agni Vatsas, the Barhit Sadas, Saumyas and the Ajyapas and the Pitas. These are either Sagnika or Niragnika. The wife of all these Pitas is Swadha and the daughter of King Daksha. Swadha was offered to the Pitas, begot 2 daughters named Vayuna and Dharini. Both of whom were impersonalists and were expert in transcendental and Vedic knowledge. The 16th daughter, whose name was Sati, was the wife of Lord Shiva. She could not produce a child, although she always faithfully engaged in the service of her husband. The reason is that Sati's father Daksha used to rebuke Lord Shiva in spite of Shiva's faultlessness. Consequently, before attaining a mature age, Sati gave up her body by dint of yogic mystic powers. So now we are going to learn about these different stories. I gave you an understanding about the yagyas that are performed, the sacrificial fire, and we are going to discuss about Sati also. So I will stop over here today.
Recording stopped.